An ESPN NBA analyst gives his take on where the New York Knicks will land at the end of next season, and Walker Kessler and the New York Knicks looks like to have had some conversations. All that and much more on the Knicks Digest. What's up, guys? It's your boy Dariel. Let's get right into today's video. So an ESPN NBA expert gave his take on where the New York Knicks will land. The Knicks are fifth most likely to win the NBA Finals and third most likely to win the Eastern Conference Finals. What I want to take a look at first, I want to take a look at his take for the Eastern Conference. He has the Boston Celtics and he has the Philadelphia 76ers ahead of the New York Knicks. The Boston Celtics coming out of the Eastern Conference. Of course, they are the reigning, the NBA defending champions. Of course, they have Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown. They have Drew Holiday, Derek White. And you can make the argument that they actually won the championship without one of their most important pieces, Kristaps Porzingis, time and time again. Everybody knows that he's an injury-prone player, which is why when they were the NBA talking head shows, when they were making a big fuss about the Boston Celtics getting Kristaps Porzingis, I understood why, but I also didn't really understand why, because we haven't really seen Kristaps Porzingis play in a situation where it mattered. And in the Wizards, I believe he was there for maybe a season and a half or just one season. He was putting up good numbers. I believe he was maybe around like 18-12, 18-10, but those were pretty much empty stats. He was playing for a losing organization. They had nothing to play for. And then going to the Boston Celtics, this was going to be the first time in a while where we see Kristaps playing for something meaningful. But in the first round against the Miami Heat, he had that weird injury, and we don't see him until the finals, I believe. The finals is when Kristaps made his return, and he gets injured again. He had that weird foot injury that I think like 50 people in the country have every year. It was one of the most weirdest things. But again, going back to the argument of the Boston Celtics, they actually won a championship without one of their more important players. Kristaps Porzingis, maybe he's going to be fully healthy. He kind of falls within the same conversation of Joel Embiid. Are we ever going to get a real healthy season out of him? They got Jason Tatum and they got Jaylen Brown. Two of the top 10 to 12 players in the league right now, maybe 10 to 15. So I 100% understand why he has the Boston Celtics coming in at number one out of the Eastern Conference. But going back to the list, he has the Philadelphia 76ers ahead of the New York Knicks. And I feel like I'm a broken record saying this. The Philadelphia 76ers, their two best players, you're depending on them, and they both have questions. Joel Embiid, the biggest question with him is his health concern. We've never seen Joel Embiid been able to put a full season together where he hasn't been injured around the playoff time. Whether if it's foot, his knee, his back, his face, his hand, there's always something going on with Joel Embiid every time the playoffs come around. And then this arguably the second best player, because I think Tyrese Maxey is really going to make a case for that this season. He even had a case for it when James Harden was on the team. But going back to Paul George has questions around him. Can Paul George come up big when it matters most? We haven't really seen that from Paul George ever since, in my opinion, we haven't seen Paul George really step up to the plate ever since he had that really nasty foot injury with the USA scrimmage. Prior to that, Paul George's ascension was on the rise. He was obviously the best player on the Indiana Pacers, and him and the Pacers were the only team in the Eastern Conference at the time that were able to challenge the Miami Heat, the Heatles, I should say, with LeBron, Chris Bosh, and Dwayne Wade. And Paul George looked like his future was really, really bright. And then that injury happened, and then ever since that injury, I don't think his career has completely changed, and I don't think his career has completely deviated from what it was going to be. Paul George has still remained as one of the top 10 to 15 players in the league, but he had to stop at OKC, didn't really do anything there. And then from OKC, he went to the Clippers where he teamed up with Kawhi Leonard. And when Paul George teamed up with Kawhi Leonard, the expectations was them to make it to the finals and maybe even win one championship. And they weren't even able to get to the finals. They were only able to get to the Western Conference Finals one time. And in that one time, Kawhi Leonard didn't even join Paul George. Kawhi Leonard messed up I believe he tore his ACL in the round prior against the Utah Jazz. And Paul George, he was able to right the ship. He was the best player with Kawhi Leonard being out, but Paul George just has a lot of questions about him. As far as his skill, his talent, there's no question. But as far as can he show up when it matters most? And up until this point, I don't really know if we can really say he has. So the Philadelphia 76ers, depending on two players where they have a lot of questions around them, Joel Embiid, if Joel Embiid is healthy, and if he's healthy specifically around the playoff time, I am 100% confident that Joel Embiid is going to deliver, because in my opinion, I think he is the best big in the league. But We just haven't seen it. So I can't go off of something that I haven't seen. Now, if we're going to pay attention towards the NBA Finals, he had the Boston Celtics, he had the Oklahoma City Thunder, the Philadelphia 76ers, the Denver Nuggets, and then the New York Knicks tied for 5th with the Milwaukee Bucks. Again, the Philadelphia 76ers being ahead of the New York Knicks is complete blasphemy. It's complete baffling me because of all the points that I just made with Joel Embiid and Paul George. But the Oklahoma City Thunder, the Denver Nuggets, those two teams I'm not really mad at. Oklahoma City Thunder, they've been trying to put a roster together to complement SGA's game, and they've been doing a hell of a job. Shout out to Sam Presti, being able to draft Chet Holmgren, being able to put Lou Dort, being able to put Isaiah Joe, being able to put Jalen Williams around SGA, and this offseason adding Isaiah Hartenstein to back up Chet Holmgren, or maybe to let Chet Holmgren slide into the forward position, which I think is his natural position. I think it's really going to do wonders. So I'm not mad at OKC being ahead of New York Knicks coming out of the NBA Finals. The Denver Nuggets, obviously they got Jokic, who in my opinion is the best player in the league. So I'm not mad at that. But low-key, the Denver Nuggets, man, they actually had a horrible offseason. They let go of Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. Last offseason, they let go of Bruce Brown and Jeff Green, who it looks like they were very important, integral parts of the team because there was some sort of experience that they were able to give to their other teammates. They signed Russell Westbrook, but Russell Westbrook for the last few seasons, it just seems like, I don't know, it just seems he does everything that he's asked to do, which much respect to Westbrook because he's going to be first ballot Hall of Famer, and he doesn't get the respect that he deserves. So the problem isn't with Westbrook and his attitude and whatever coaches ask of him. He does whatever is asked of him. But at this point of his career, he doesn't have a jump shot, so I don't know how much he's going to be able to help the team. And with Jokic is like a prime LeBron. The best players to put around a prime LeBron were shooters because LeBron James was, and arguably he's still best at creating plays, driving down the lane and kicking it to others, and that's where you need shooters. Jokic, whenever he gets the ball in the post, he just draws so much attention that sometimes he's going to be double teamed. Sometimes he's probably even going to be triple teamed, and that's going to let others just be free to knock down shots. And Russell Westbrook, that's not his strong suit. He's not able to hit jumpers, which I don't understand why that skill just completely he just doesn't have. The New York Knicks being tied for winning the NBA Finals, besides the talent that the Knicks have on the roster, I feel like there's other things at play here. The New York Knicks, we have not been looked at as a championship caliber team probably since the 90s with Patrick Ewing. And prior to the 90s, it was when we actually won the championship in the early 70s with Walt Clyde Frazier, Earl LaPro Monroe, Willis Reed. So there's a lot of pressure on these players, and that's something in of itself where Jalen Brunson, Mikal Bridges, the whole Villanova crew, Julius Randle, where us Knicks fans, we know the type of talent that we have on our team, and if everybody's healthy, barring injury, we have full confidence behind this team that they could take us to the promised land. Now, does that look like actually winning an NBA championship? I'm not sure. Does that actually look like getting to an NBA Finals? I'm not sure. But if we're able to have this team for more than one season, Knicks fans, we fully expect an NBA Finals appearance. And with the drought that Knicks fans have had to endure ever since basically the Patrick Ewing days, there's a lot there, man. We haven't seen a New York Knicks team be consistently great. Now, this is going to be the third year of Jalen Brunson's Knicks tenure. And if Jalen Brunson and the New York Knicks are going to be able to have another successful playoff outing, meaning not getting bounced out of the first round, this is going to be the most success we've seen since the Patrick Ewing days. Carmelo Anthony, he had, 2-3 Knicks playoff postseasons, and only one of them he was able to get past the first round. So there wasn't really a lot there with Carmelo Anthony. And Jalen Brunson being his third season with the Knicks, and with the type of talent that he has around him, we fully expect him and the Knicks to go far. And I don't know, there might be a little pressure there. And I don't think that the players are going to feel it. Maybe they will, and maybe they're just not going to portray it. And all the interviews that they do throughout the season, talking about the pressure that they feel from the fans, they're probably going to just, ignore it, and they're probably going to downplay it. But Like I said earlier, that's something in of itself, where we know that this is the first time in a very long time that we have an actual shot of making the NBA Finals. So just hopefully the Knicks organization, hopefully Leon Rose, Worldwide West, Coach Tibbs, obviously, hopefully they know what's at stake here. Okay, now for the second half of the video, I want to focus on an actual Knicks prospect, Walker Kessler. So earlier today on WeHawks TV Twitter account, they had this tweet per Eric Pincus, and Eric Pincus is a Bleacher Report NBA writer. Walker Kessler doesn't seem part of Utah's long-term plan. Had trade discussions with the Knicks that stalled. I'm not sure what unrealistic price Ainge is asking for, but the Lakers should be at least heavily inquiring about Kessler. And I'm obviously not going to be focusing on the Lakers part. I'm going to be focusing on the trade discussions between the Utah Jazz and the Knicks that have apparently stalled. So if you've been tuning into the last few videos that I've been putting out, I've been really focusing on the backup big position or the starting big position, because Mitchell Robinson at this point, I'm afraid to say that he's kind of injury prone. And if we're able to get a quality starting big, or if we keep Mitchell Robinson and if we're able to get a quality backup big, I've been highlighting Walker Kessler, I've been highlighting Clint Capella, but seeing that tweet earlier today is actually surprising, because it lets us Knicks fans know that the Knicks organization, they're doing their job. They're inquiring about all these different bigs. And that's something that we kind of low-key, we kind of struck out on in the free agency market. There was a slew of bigs, a plethora of bigs that we just didn't really try and target. Mo Wagner was one that I was actually kind of interested in. The Philadelphia 76ers picked up Andre Drummond, which I think is really going to do wonders for them. The 76ers, they picked up Gershon Yabusele, and if you watched the Olympics, Yabusele was arguably the best player for the France team. Obviously, you got Wemby, so there's that. But if you watch all the France Olympic games, specifically in the gold medal game or the semifinal game, Yabusele was putting in work, man. But going back to Walker Kessler, so I looked up some of his numbers, and his rookie season was in the 2022-2023 season, and then this past season was his sophomore season. And take a look at the numbers of games played. His rookie season, he played 74 games. His sophomore season, he played 64 games, so down 10 games. And take a look at his numbers in his rookie year: 9.2 points, 8.4 rebounds, 0.9 assists, 0.4 steals, 2.3 blocks. In his sophomore season, he averaged 8 points, 7.5 rebounds, 0.9 assists, 0.5 steals, 2.4 blocks. So Walker Kessler, as far as games played, as far as points, as far as blocks, you can say that he's a consistent player. But the two biggest numbers that I'm looking at are the games played. 74 for his rookie season and 64 for his sophomore season. Now, of course, Walker Kessler, he just got into the league, so he has a little bit of an advantage over Mitchell Robinson. But at this point and at this stage of where the Knicks are, I am looking at players who are available. That is one of the biggest things that I'm looking at, specifically for the big man spot. If we're going to be inquiring about all these bigs, we really got to take a look at their availability. And Walker Kessler, even though he only has 2 seasons under his belt, it looks like he's available, man. And he's a big that's athletic, able to get up and down the court, agile. The highlights that I've seen from Walker Kessler, yeah, he's getting dunked on, but that's what you want from a big. You want a big who's going to be contesting shots at the rim over and over again. If that's your job and you're not doing your job, then why are you out there on the court? So Walker Kessler, it looks like he knows his role. If he's going to be the starting big or a backup big, he knows that he has to be a defensive anchor. He knows that he has to protect the rim, and that's something that we need right now to complete our roster. Like I said, if he's going to be a starting big or a backup big, that's the one spot that we're sorely lacking right now. If we're really going to be truly contenders, right now, I feel like we're fringe contenders with the pickup of Mikal Bridges, re-signing of OG, Jalen Brunson, Julius Randle, with everybody coming back and fully healthy. I feel like we're definitely Eastern Conference Finals contenders, but without knowing the availability of Mitchell Robinson, without knowing the availability of the backup big, I feel like that could really take us over the hump. But guys, that's it for today's video. I want to say thank you so much for checking it out. Leave it in the comments and let me know what you guys think about the ESPN NBA expert talking about where he thinks the Knicks are going to come out in the Eastern Conference. Also, if they're going to make the NBA Finals. Also, leave it in the comments and let me know what you guys think about this Walker Kessler update. But until next time, you guys know the drill. You guys know the vibes. Jalen Brunson for all the MVPs. The deuce is loose. Co-MVP. Mikal Bridges for the 2024-2025 Defensive Player of the Year. Taj Gibson, I did not forget about you for president all day, every day. And until next time, I'll check you on the next video. Peace.